Alright, so we're going to start with a panel discussion. Let's go a bit into depth. Damien, Nunes is my name. As Maiki Ilves already mentioned, one of the co-designers and also teachers in the program. And next to that, I also do innovation projects myself. Well, before we kick off, I would like to do a little game with you. Is it a product or is it a service? Because we're talking about services. Anneke, I saw you using the word product. What are we talking about? So I'm going to give you some 3 examples, and let's see with hands up if it's a service, hands down if it's a product. Is that clear? Yes, all right. I mean, we are here at the Estonian Energy Discovery Center, right? So I want to feel that Estonian, I want to feel that energy here in this room.
Estonian energy.
Yeah. Let's see if we can. So let's see if we can build up this energy from the ground. Let's see if this works. From here, so we go low, ooh, we bring it up, and it's like yay, yay, yay. And if the energy is high enough, if it resonates with me, if I feel it in my heart, I will click the next slide and we go to the first one. Yeah, let's get the blood a little bit pumping. Are we ready? Yeah. So down. Hey. Alright, cool. So, your phone doesn't last a day. Beautiful iPhone, but it doesn't last a day. Apple doesn't help you out, but there's this little shop around the corner, and this person sells you a battery for 40 euros, and he says, well, I will replace it for you for free. Are we buying a product or a service for 40 euros? Hands up, service. Hands down, product. All right. So, yes, you had your hand down. So, if this person bought this battery for 10 euros, what are you buying for the rest of the 30 euros then, actually?
I think you buy a product being battery and actually also get for free the service, and that's a replacement.
So what are you buying for the 30 euros extra then? Because the original costs are 10?
The service.
The service. So the majority of it is. So it's a little bit of funky, it's intertwined also, Anneke, in your story. Language does influence a lot how we perceive things, and also during our course, this perspective of service being service-oriented is very important. Next one. A nice day with the ladies or the boys. You rented this for half a day, 40 euros. Did you rent a product or did you buy a service? Service, product.
Does it come with the ladies
or
without?
Yes, a product. Why is this a product?
I'd say because it's something you tangibly make use of for a fixed period of time.
So product has something to do with tangibility, maybe.
With my limited knowledge, but in time, yes.
All right, okay, take that into consideration. Is it a product or service? And it's often a bit merged. Next one, a little bit of energy. Hey. All right. So you bought a new Tesla. Got the latest update, autopilot. You don't even have to steer. You don't have to shift. Everything is done for you, just like you just put it on your phone. I want to go from A to B. And you have this car, very beautiful, but also when you are at home, and you say, well, I want to make an extra buck, this autopilot can also work as an Uber driver, and a fully automated Uber driver. Is your Tesla car a product or is it a service? Hands up service, hands down product. Ooh, all right. Sir, there. Yes, hands down, then you get a question. Why is this a product to you?
I think it's about Tesla, so I think it's a car. For me, it's a product.
Yeah.
I use it as I use it
as a car to go from A to.
Yeah, I use it also for transportation. I think cars people they want to own and it's a brand thing and they look at it sometimes and so on. So
So we talked about things being physical, we talked about ownership, that is also a difference between products and services. Interesting. Well, this is an interesting quote about BMW. They normally have 90% invested in product designers, car designers, tangible designers, 10% UX, more experienced designers, and that is now changing to 50-50. And that also has to do with this kind of things. I can buy a Volkswagen Up, or I can also have access to a Volkswagen Up. It's the same product thing, but here it's about intrinsic value, ownership, but you also, it's not only the ownership, it's also the risk that you need to carry. Where here it's value in use, it's only the benefits that you're trying to have. So this kind of service mindset changes also the type of offering. Is it a product? Is it a service? Are we leasing a car? It's a bit of both, but also the relationship that you have with your customer. And that's also something very important that we're trying to get into this program of SD4X. So if we move to service design, Birgit Mager, aka the godmother of service design, she basically says service design aims to ensure service interfaces that are useful, usable, and desirable. So service designers, we work with these kind of systems or interfaces, service systems. It has maybe a product in it, a Tesla car, but all kind of other, maybe software, employees, other things that are working together in delivering value to you. So we need to deliver the right value, desirability, but also it should be fluently, seamlessly, and in that regard. On the other hand, we also have to look to the supplier's point of view. It should have added value. You need to be distinctive, competitive, effective, efficient. Also there you need to be able to make money. So service designers work with both in designing a very complex system basically, which is partly lies with the customer, partly lies with the company, and where both worlds are intertwined. So okay, but how to apply service design? That is something that also came back within our course. And you can invest in the service design or design specialists. As you have architectural designers, UX designers, graphic designers, you also have now service designers. And this is how they work. This is how their workplace could look like. So if you hire those people, this is maybe the kind of environment that they will be working in. But during our course, we focus more on these kind of generalists. Alright, so you have your own, you're a marketing expert, educational expert, you work, for instance, at a different function within your organization, but you're able to talk, to walk this kind of service design, service mindset, but also have the design knowledge basically there. Specialist versus generalist. So this kind of service design thinking, you have service designing, and you have service design thinking, which is basically having the right mindset, so a design perspective for solving business problems or working on service systems. You're able to understand the process, the methodology to navigate complexity, which is quite different than more standard business processes, for instance, to work on innovation. And then we also include various tools, right? So to do research, to do ideation, to build prototypes and those kind of things. So this is something that we gave you also during your course, within your backpack, to bring to your organization. Which is then also now very important to upload this kind of mindset within your organization. And that is what I would like to, during this panel discussion, go a little bit deeper on. How are we going to upload this service design thinking within our organization to really make products, services, propositions, whatever you want to call it, that really resonates with our customers. So what kind of organization? Well, you've seen, for instance, Anneke working in the B2B, for instance, in a very interesting sector where services are maybe normally secondary, becoming more important. B2C, for instance, with Andris, so telecom, but also supermarkets, there it is important what kind of value. It's not only the paprika that we want to buy, there's more to it, for instance. But also governments are dealing with this, NGOs, development work, but also getting your passport renewed. And we saw very nice examples also at Estonia, where service design is very much important. So for our panel, we're going to mix it a little bit up, give a little bit of splash of this, a splash of that. Some gender equality, different nationalities, different kind of backgrounds. So I want to give you, if you can give us a little bit of energy, a little bit of applause for our panel. Please rise, come to the front. We have Anneke, you've already met her, from the Netherlands, PhD background, head of customer experience. Maiki, head of statistics design department here in Estonia, Statistics Estonia. Andris, director of marketing and sales, Tet.lv, and Rihards, we also give more the academic, more the theoretical background about the topic that we're going to talk about. Nice diverse panel. I would suggest let's start serving 3 different discussions. So the first one is going to be about specialism and generalism. I talked about service designers, talked about service design thinking. Should we be training employees to bring them to a certain level, or should we be hiring the best expertise in the field? The second one, optimization versus innovation. Are we only going to incrementally improve what we are working on, or are we going to create new disruptive startups with service design? Now let's see what comes out of this discussion. And 3, top-down, bottom-up, higher management, grassroots. Where do we start with innovation? Where do we start with implementing service design? We had a lot of super interesting discussions. Let's go into depth, but also an invitation to the audience to join into the discussion. Yes? So I'm going to be a little bit provocative in the various statements. You can either choose agree, disagree. So no, it depends. We've heard that a lot. No, you need to make a statement today. Get provocative. So let's get the people going. So to get going, people, what do we do? Oh, indeed. So this is the first one. You can also raise your hands or lower them. We will get, do you agree with this statement? Hands up, do you disagree? Hands down. We will get the most value for money by hiring service design specialists, experts, designers, instead of training generalists. So should we hire 2, 3 experts, or should we be training 100, 500 of our employees? Hands up if we say we are going for the specialist. Hands down if you're going for the generalists. You have 3 seconds to think about it. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Yeah? Alright, cool. But here we all say we need to start with the people. Alright? It's also fine that one of you can also, play devil's advocate. Anneke, we're going to start with you. The most value, so you say, no, it's not about the specialists, it's about, yeah, please elaborate on that.
Yes, strongly disagree. I think in the end it's about feeling ownership of the customer need and the problem and trying to solve them. And I think ownership can only be truly felt if you're part of the company. And if you are willing to take your design idea or improvement a bit further, it's going to fail a few times if you validate with customers. But you need to, it's about a marathon, it's not a sprint. And I think if you hire a specialist, it's going to be a sprint. And you need the company to carry on with the marathon.
And if we talk about in-house service designers versus, and so then they are also internally, they only payroll, versus we're going to train the whole department. What is then your take? Do you stick to the same point?
At gunpoint, because I can't say it depends, so at gunpoint I'm going to say if I need to choose, I will train generalists and as a first step, and that would be would get things moving.
Okay, cool. Maybe one more from the panel, and then I would like to have another perspective from the audience. So maybe to add to that, maybe you have some interesting regards, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, in general I agree that you should start with the awareness, understanding what service design is. Therefore, there should be generals who can have a hint, punch, in terms of what you should do. But when it happens to have this action plan in terms of what are the possibilities, maybe then I would hire outside consultancy, which are specialists who might know and help me to guide me through in terms of what will be the right actions and how I should make it the best possible way, federative system.
Okay. So some hands there. I think Ando, you had a point. So you definitely will hire a specialist. Why?
If somebody has seen the one micro sketch of multiplied the Olympics, when everybody is on that running, starts running on the Olympics, and when everybody starts, they are from the very first time, everybody runs in different directions. What I mean by that, actually I was taking from that marathon side, so marathon is long. So, but you probably need still someone to coach you. It's a whole process. There are things where you know by heart, emotion, you can ask, but there's still some process to follow. So, I don't mean that this person needs to do everything, but there needs to be coach who to support, who maybe each direction and everybody is on the same level and knows the direction themselves in a way. That's motivating. It doesn't mean that you should train everybody, but it just when you start, you still need somebody who takes part in it.
Okay, interesting, cool. So, Maiki, you have a budget. You said, well, we're going to train some internal staff. What are your requirements of that training? What would it be like a masterclass of 5 days, or what online? What would it be? So would it be?
I'm actually just ordering something like that for our organization. When we are currently looking for something like 4-month training period, but with very concrete projects. We have like 5 projects with 5 project leads who should get this theoretical, but mainly practical knowledge. So mainly we're looking for mentoring, guidance, helping through the process. So very practical. So, I mean, the ideas behind service design, they're not so complicated, they're very natural. It's just you need some, as you said, some processes and some tools to help you along.
And then working on own cases, that is what you suggest then basically?
Yeah.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that, working on own cases, or would it be maybe good to get out of the comfort zone, as we also did during and we also had that discussion? Maybe Andris, what is your point on that?
Could you repeat, like the perspective from which I...
Maiki mentioned, so well, we have 5 projects. I would like to do the training, but they also will be working on those 5 internal projects, right? When we look at SD4X, we started with the port of Tallinn. We also did some projects in Maastricht, and you then started also working on your own cases. What is the best way that we could actually teach your employees? Would it be then,
I guess the same approach we were discussing already. It's good to have some external examples, but actually you go through your case. Otherwise it's too theoretical. You know, okay, there's that circumstances and those people, but it's about implementing in your company. So other examples just help, widen the horizon, but it's about you, it's about your company. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely stick to my cases, and others would be just like great examples.
I saw some more hands about putting into hiring experts. Who had his or her hands up? Yeah, so Ron?
Well, I think service design is a good profession, same as developing or testing or marketing. So I think you should start with hiring people who know what they're doing and then create a ripple effect through the organization. So lead by example. And I know from experience that generalists, when they start a service design project, they straight go to the solution mode and they really get listening to the customer. So if they lead by example, hire a specialists, then it will create a ripple effect in the organization.
Mm-hmm. I see you nodding very vigorously.
I agree with this position that, generalists, if they are not experienced yet, they eventually turn into the solution. They are not researching, they are not trying to figure out what is the actual problem. And we work in the bank, and we've been facilitating the service design trainings for 9 years. And we've been training these generalists. And even right now, I can see the same thing, that they have experience, the real case studies, they have come through these trainings, and still they have this tendency to go to the solution. Even though they admit that, yes, I would like to know, but I have this idea, and it will solve it, or at least I can validate it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if we talk about those experts, in the service design community, there's also a lot of talk that it's not only designing services or new propositions, but also that they also are change agents. So they are also, in a way, a coach, a mentor, an educator in that regard. If we are, combining a bit of both, is that what you would be looking for them, for instance, in? And what are other requirements that you would ask from a service designer that would add to your team or your organization? Anneke?
Yeah, the best thing would be to combine. So generally, what I would do is in-house work on the mindset and ask the specialists to come in once in a while to coach primarily the process and the mindset. And then when it comes to making decisions or generating ideas or doing the actual work, I would prefer to do that with the in-house generalists.
Well, I guess the in-house people have certain voice already in a company. That's like outsourced people might be like some kind of external view. That's always valuable, but you need to push things internally. And then it's the matter who has ordered actually those external. If it's CEOs, you heavy need it, then cool. We don't see any internal people currently to fulfill it. So no, we have external people to help. But if it's coming from, let's say, if we need actually to convince the upper level, then it's when the external, then the culture doesn't change, what you mentioned. So it's then, like, okay, we pretend to have service design or whatever other cool name, but actually we don't want to change. So,
and then nothing.
We just want to have, written so that and that expert has been there, and or whatever initiative has been fulfilled. But actually, I'm fine how it's running. So it's like just attaching to you some cool, names like programs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to change things, if it comes from, let's say, CEO or C level, then why not with external? But internally, it's better.
Anything to add, Mike?
We have also a very practical problem. We can't find very many of such service design experts, or we can't afford them in the public sector. So it's not like it's not actually choice.
You're forced. Yeah.
I mean, you just have to create them inside your organization based on the people you have there.
And that is possible.
We'll see.
We will see. Okay. Yeah. All right. And any questions, any remarks from the audience? Yes. Maybe Rob. Yeah.
I think it's really important to state here that the service designer doesn't necessarily have to be external. It can also be someone in the organization, and he or she is not someone who will get a job done alone. So I think it's key reaction to what Andris just mentioned. We have a really strong team, and that team has to consist of the right level and expertise from within the organization.
Cool. All right, let's continue to the next statement. Hands low. 3, 2, 1. Oh, click. All right, optimization versus innovation. Wow, I think was Jan's presentation also was a lot also about technology, engineers working on stuff. Also, in the end, also very much the customer perspective was quite important. But you saw that it was an engineering mindset which also played a very important role. When we think about innovation, often technology comes up a lot. But you can also start innovation from a customer point of view. So you sometimes see these kind of debates. So the statement is the majority of disruptive innovations, and the emphasis on disruptive, so really radical new things, will not be born out of customer-driven activities. Let it sink in for 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. 2 hands even, so that's good. All right, Maiki, let's start with you.
Just was when you put that question up, I immediately was thinking what has happened, and I see the reason behind them: cost cutting. You want to cut the costs, and you do the automation, right? That's the solution. And what I see, what has happened in the Estonian government side, it's made that. It would be lovely if there will be change. I think also that the knowledge isn't, the service design knowledge hasn't spread so much that it will be so visible, but maybe it will change.
And what is the result of that kind of thinking? Like, okay, we need to optimize a certain process, tech focus, we build an app, or we automate a certain process. What is the result? What do you see within your organization? What does it lead to if you only have that, if you start from that point of view?
Well, first of all, employees don't feel appreciated, right? Because very often it comes that the mentality is we need to get rid of people, we need to automate their work. So that's one of the things. But in government sector, we feel this budget cuts very, very strongly. So this is a strong reason behind it.
Okay.
So I can add that we will automatize and digitalize everything what we can. So we have all processes, like every single business line is running through such a digitalization process, but everything is a name of customer in our case. It's to simplify how you get your products or how the service is. So it's not like cost cutting, actually we invest huge amount in our case, but it's about future. Otherwise we are like few years, let's say, out of the business. So it's like to forecast the needs, and then that's why actually we need to listen to the needs, and then that's what we do. And develop those digital solutions for tomorrow, basically. It would work today without them as well, but we know that we need them, So we run like very structural process through every single business, and takes years and millions of investments.
Rihards, from an academic point of view, what have you seen in literature with regard to radical innovation, a bit more disruptive innovation?
Actually, I wanted to give I want to give you one example, one framework from that.
Yeah.
So, example comes from Apple, and Steve Jobs said that if we would have listened to customers, we would have never made an iPhone, because people would not comprehend the idea of having a touchscreen at that point. So, in a sense, if you would listen to customers, you would not be able to do that. And from Hayden Christensen, so there is this idea in terms of these like disruptive innovations that come from performance overshoots, and this comes once again. This does not come from customer itself. So it comes from this when you're inside the business so much, and then you're able to kind of think completely, have a breakthrough path on that.
So, but what is then still? Is there a role for service design then in disruptive innovation, or is it engineering?
Definitely from terms of design thinking, in terms of changing business models and understanding the real problem behind it, you can devise something that's completely new and disruptive innovation. That's true, but I would not say that it's majority. That would be my opinion.
Sorry, Anneke? Yeah, to give a little bit of a counterweight.
Yeah, I disagree, because I look at innovation as a combination of things like stars that need to align at a certain time to be really disruptive and adopted in society. And I see that within my own company, as a tech company, product company, innovation company. We have innovation lying on the shelf, collecting dust. For example, we have the Tesla of greenhouse control, right? So AI, a system that does it on its own. And we've had it on the shelf for 11 years. Not the same as today, but it was there. But we never got to really got it adopted in the market. And then somehow, last year the stars aligned, and somehow there's this need or a click, and then service design comes in, because linking back to my story, you can have a great product, but if it doesn't align with a user need or the urgency for adoption, you need to wait or dismiss it.
So you talk about stars aligning, and this Tesla of in your that is one star, but it had to, for instance, align with service design, but also maybe other things need to come together.
And for me, the last star, always the last star, is the customer that either uses it or doesn't, or adopts or doesn't.
Yeah, because within service design, we always say we need to start from a customer point of view, but you also now say that sometimes can be that something that's lying there. If things align, then maybe something. If I understood correctly. Yeah. Here I saw a hand. Was it you, Dan? Or Andris? Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Actually, there was a Steve Jobs quote which you said. Yeah, it was said by Henry Ford. Well, the same thing 1 years earlier. That when I asked from my customer what they wanted a faster process.
Yeah.
But and that's a good example of this tool, scooters there. Yeah. But actually, the customer gave the answer for faster process. And we developed this idea that process can be faster when you put motor in the carriage and the car is born. And with this tool also, before this Bolt and tool scooter a couple of years ago, nobody even wanted them because they don't know what you want. And so someone said something to someone, and they built them and they read this, and this is huge now. So on one hand, I agree that this disruptive innovation comes seemingly not from the answer by the customers, but actually the answer by the customers will be developed more by the innovators. And they come up here, the customers don't know what they want because they can't explain themselves clearly. So it's a mix between those, but it's something that
Yeah. Yes?
I have some more to say about this Henry Ford's quote. That there are like some things that you already have mentioned. That Henry Ford's quote and also the Steve Jobs quote, these are of wants, what the customer wants to have. But the underlying layer is the need. And this is important connection. And this is why I also disagree with this statement that if you're not paying enough attention what the customers are actually saying to you, and you're not spending enough time in this historic first part of the Tallinna problem, then you can't actually iterate. But if you're researching enough, you're paying enough attention and questioning, then the innovation dimension will come out of that.
Mm-hmm. So then also the definition of what means customer driven. That's not only, I think, what you're mentioning here is not only listening, just copying what the customer says, but also interpreting what does it actually mean. Yeah. Marius?
Well, I mean, the end question is that needs haven't changed, right? I mean, that's the thing about the scooter versus the car versus the horse versus walking versus taking a bike versus a taxi. I mean, I need to get from A to B, and the question is it became a simpler solution, it became a faster solution to it. I was at the European Innovation Academy a couple of years ago, and this team came up with a brilliant idea, an innovation based on a very simple need that we all brush our teeth. It's a stupid thing to do. I mean, who sticks a thing in their mouth and goes, there's got to be a better way. And they've been working on it, trying to get it to actually become a product, and it's really hard to even get professionals to think that, am I really not going to stick a stick in my mouth and go, that there's a different way of doing it. And it takes this disruptive innovation. It's a long process to get there in your head to realize the need. And I mean, the need, if you take the iPhone, it's just I need access to information on the go, and how can I do that the easier way? And then somebody came up with, look at the bits and pieces found together. And he saw the touch screen at IBM or Cisco or where it was, hey, that works. And he put that, he had this lateral thinking of putting this and this and this together and ended up with a new recipe. And so it's the disruptive innovations are all out there. The question is how to put them together based on a deep understanding of the fundamental need of what the customer actually needs in the background, and needs haven't changed. I mean, we still, we want to sleep 8 hours a day, we want to get from A to B conveniently, we want to, have fun, we want to, look good and do all these things. Now, how can you satisfy those very simple needs in an interesting way? And the growers in the greenhouses, they just want a greater yield with less hassle. At the end of the day, that's their basic need. And how can you do that? And then everything that works towards it is actually an innovation. And then at what point does it become disruptive? Is if it changes the news.
So, Rihards, do we need an R&D department, or do we have to put service design in it, or do we have to connect to them, or how does it influence traditional R&D, mad scientists cooking up?
It should not be in, but they should work in conjunction, definitely. That's one thing. Actually, when you were speaking, I realized, in terms of how in history innovations happened, if you look at James Burke connections, it happens when a lot of things click, and each innovation builds up on consecutive previous elements. Once again, this is the star alignment, thing happens, and there's no one single recipe which will work. Most likely for some industry, R&D might exhaust itself, so you need to plug in the service design, change your business model to make it something disruptive. And in that way, and somewhere vice versa, it's going to be if you have a disruptive new business model, you have done a lot of things with service, but maybe you need to unlock some new technology, new capability that would allow you to step change and move forward. So I think it has to be complementary. So.
Okay. I think due to the time, we need to continue to the next one. Top down versus bottom up, a discussion that we had a lot. The statement, without first onboarding higher management, there's little value in adopting service design. Maybe we shouldn't even start with service design if higher management is not on board. I agree, I disagree. Yeah? In the back, ladies. Hands up, so you agree? Yeah, you can choose.
I think we both agree that we surely need management to get involved, because otherwise you can't again change the whole organizational culture, which would obviously once you come along with the whole changes and mindset. So that's where you need to really start, because otherwise it dies down. No matter how well you actually engage with experts and how wonderful the changes might be, but if they can't be spread across the organization, then it won't really be taken further.
And should that be the ambition, to cultivate it throughout, or is it fine that it's just on this little island here? Question mark.
Well, I think it would, if you really want mindset to change and really progress with the whole organization, then you can't do without just spreading it across the organization.
Do you have to add to that, Miss?
Really, our university have experience that sometimes you need strong commitment of highest level management, but maybe guidance not so the momentum is not there right. We continue pushing and making progress later. So anyway, you don't have this commitment. If you have efforts enough, you can continuously push it. So maybe one day the sun is shining and management is coming. But it's extremely.
Yeah, no, it's sure it's a very, very important topic. Maiki, you also raised your hand. What do you have to add to that? If you look at also what important role management plays, and also how you maybe introduce service design within your organization, how did they respond, and
I also can't imagine how to implement ideas if you don't have board agreement with it, because it usually involves cost, right? You have to allocate resources for it, and if you don't have that backing, in some cases maybe you can do it with some simple ideas, but it's rather exception, I think, than a rule.
Mm-hmm. Andris, you also had your hand up?
It's a question, what do you mean with onboarding? If it's just informing, hey, give me the freedom to try things out, then it works in most cases, I would say, if it doesn't cost like a fortune. And I guess we must be aware we are the brave ones to try things first, if it works, then it might transform to culture because it's, hey, success story. If it's not, yeah, probably you try next time or a third or whatever until you, let's say, give up. Or the fifth is the success case and then it turns to culture. So in my case, it's more about let's say, getting the freedom to try things out. And if we can come with academic background or it doesn't cost that much, at least me, I get the freedom. So, as I was showing in a case, I mean, a weird case, but of course I want to transform it to other things as well. It was just like a little example.
And Anneke, you had your hand low, right? All right, cool. Yeah, nice. Give your perspective.
Yeah, but actually I sort of agree with what you say. But it's a bit in the statement, but I think you can always start with service design. You can, we've seen you need 2 days to validate some really rudimentary ideas. And if you don't call it service design, it's actually really backing up an idea with research and validation and exploring multiple solutions and finding the one that probably will click. So if you don't talk about service design, but just sell the idea, then still you're doing service design. If you really want, and that's the key in the word adopting, if you really wish to scale this, that's what I want. I want to scale it. It's not a project anymore. It is something deeply in the mindset of the company, in the culture, something structural. Yeah, then you need to buy in. Absolutely.
Can't be like Fight Club. The service designers without public.
Good. Let's do a rapid fire. And that will be that we to maybe some people here in the audience say, oh, interesting, service design thinking. If you would write a letter to a service design enthusiast, one recommendation and one warning, one obstacle that you would warn them about. So think for 5 seconds about that. I would like to start with Rihards. For a service design enthusiast, say, okay, interesting. Recommendation for a first step. And a warning and an obstacle to take into account.
It's easy. Recommend to experiment.
Yeah.
Have the audacity to experiment, and warn not to run into solutions that quickly. For example, not going into solution mindset, but more for finding problems.
So this is also the mind.
Yeah, the mindset, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Andris,
I would then to recommendations add that don't do that alone. Find a buddy. And warn you, and I wanted to say the same thing because it's very important that you don't like sell your ideas. Hey, just back up. Oh, it's service design. So it's really like finding new insights. So yeah, nothing new in the second or.
Maiki, maybe something to add? A first step that you would recommend? Read something, do something, hire something, someone.
Speak with customer or customers. Just get some ideas what they think about something of your service or something like that.
And an obstacle, a warning?
It will take time.
All right.
If you want to go into it, it takes time.
Patience, have patience.
Yeah.
Okay. Anneke?
Yeah, I would recommend not to be too theoretical or academical about the subject. More doing and showing impact. And I would like to warn you of not letting your agenda become too cluttered with other stuff. So just pick a week or two, clean it out, get some colleagues or external experts to help you block time, focus.
Yeah. All right, cool. 1 or 2 questions from the audience, and if there are none, I would like to wrap it up. Nobody? Yes? All right, then a little for the panel. 3, 2, 1. Yeah.